life and be a mommy with style, and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to do a recap of kind of all of the travel we've done the past couple months. We're going to be talking about our recent trip to Universal Studios Orlando, unpacking all of that, and also just kind of a general update because I got so far behind on editing. It's about a month after our trip now, and I normally do these recaps a little sooner, but I just got behind on editing, and so I feel like I haven't done a real-time video in quite some time. So hello, welcome back. And I'm excited to talk to you about the Universal Studios trip today because I'm finally able to answer a lot of questions that I've gotten, not just recently, but actually over the past few years as well. And so I think some people have been kind of waiting for us to go on this trip and to see what we thought and just kind of be able to do a comparison, because obviously we'll start off from the top. If you're not familiar with our channel, we are Disney fans. We go to Disney quite frequently. We've done Disney cruises. We go to Walt Disney World most frequently. And so we go back there a lot, and we're able to find something new there every time we go. If you're not familiar with Walt Disney World, it's a really, really large property with 4 different theme parks, tons of resorts, tons of dining, tons of shopping. There's just a lot there that you can do, and so you can really make every single trip kind of different. But today we're going to be talking about Universal Studios. I will be doing a little bit of compare and contrast because obviously we have gone to Disney most often, and I have gotten a lot of questions since our trip about what we thought, what the difference was, and all those sorts of things. So we'll talk about that. The other thing I want to mention right off the top, especially if you're not familiar with our channel, or maybe it's been a little while since you've seen one of our videos, is that I would say that from the type of family that we are, I would not consider us thrill seekers. So if you're watching this review, keep in mind, we are not the type of people that are going to be in the line for Velocicoaster. We didn't even ride it, so I don't know how to say it. Any of the upside down rides early in the morning, like that was not the reason why we went to Universal Studios. So right there, we're already a lot different than the people that tend to go there very, very often. But for us, we have Harry Potter fans in our family. Both girls have really enjoyed Harry Potter. In fact, Natalie, one of the things I'm going to be sharing coming up is I've recently redone both of their rooms. So their rooms have been re-themed and all of that, so I'm going to share those. Isabella has a Zen plant garden theme, and Natalie's room is Harry Potter themed right now because she's super into Harry Potter. So it was a very timely trip for us. Both girls are into Harry Potter. The other thing is Isabella is definitely not a thrill seeker. She does not want to ride rides that go upside down. She rode the Forbidden Journey ride once and said never again because it kind of tips you backwards. But Natalie, although she loves thrill rides and like at Hollywood Studios, Tower of Terror is a favorite for her and that sort of thing, she is on the shorter side. So she is just at 48 inches, even though she's now at the end of 4th grade. She's on the shorter side, so she just simply cannot ride some things because of the height requirement. So that is a little bit about us. So if you're coming into this video in a similar situation or looking at it from that viewpoint, then you may have a similar outcome. We definitely went to Universal Studios for the Harry Potter areas. Those were our main purpose of going to see at Universal Studios, to go stay at Universal Studios. That's what we wanted to do, and we definitely saw that while we were there. So in case you haven't seen all of our videos, I will link them down below from that spring break trip. We spent, I believe we had a 4-park ticket. I got some deal that included the resort and the tickets and all of that. We stayed at Cabana Bay, which was lovely. It was cute themed. The room was nice. We had a good amount of space. I liked the closet. There's lots of space to hang things up. I think that if we did ever go back, we would definitely try to stay at one of the resorts that had the express pass. I wanted to start at this resort because I know Cabana Bay is a popular resort, popular option, and I wanted to be able to kind of compare it to some of the Disney resorts we'd stayed at, knowing that we'll probably go back at least once and then we'll move into one of the express pass resorts. So that was kind of my idea there. And so what we did on this trip is a couple tricks. Because we had 4 park days, we didn't really need all of them. I'll go into why in a minute. But Universal Studios is a much smaller footprint. It's a much smaller space. So we really just kind of, like the 4th day, which was actually used on the 1st day, we just went in one of the evenings just to see the Harry Potter area at night. And then we had 2, I believe, kind of fuller days, and then 1 day where we went in like early in the morning, kind of took a break for the middle of the day, and then just kind of went back in the evening. That day we actually saw the most because we didn't have the express pass And we have a limit that we will not wait in lines just over a certain time frame. We just will not. So the day that we went in early, I would say was probably our best day. We used those early resort hours and we got a ton done before like 10 a.m. So that was a really, really great day. So I'd say if you're not staying somewhere where you get the express pass included and you don't want to add it on, use those early resort hours if you're staying on Universal property, so that way you can kind of maximize your time. We got a ton done that day. But to start out, it was really, really fun. So the Harry Potter areas are super immersive. That's why we were there. We went in the first night to see the Harry Potter areas at night, but also our main reason for going in that evening is we wanted to take the girls to Ollivander's and get them their wands, because they have this interactive game where you're walking around the whole time and you can do things with your wand and interact with it. And I knew that that was going to be a big hit for the girls, so I wanted to get them the wands right at the beginning of their trip. Absolutely was a great call because they used those things like crazy the whole time. We ended up doing every single spell that was on the map, and they just love that part. That's just one of their favorite parts, are those little interactive games throughout the resorts or the theme parks that they can do. They just always gravitate towards that. So like example, on a Disney cruise, Disney Midship Detective is a favorite of theirs. There's going to be a lot of referencing to Disney in this video, but hopefully that'll be helpful. So we love the interactive wand game. The food was really fun, it goes in with the theme. We got a number of butter beers on the trip. Personally, my favorite is the frozen butter beer. Isabella liked the hot butter beer the best, but we absolutely love that. But really, the interactive wands, other than the rides, were the biggest hit. I did order them robes on Amazon beforehand and a number of cute shirts. I will link all that down below. But that worked out really well for us because we already came with our Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff gear. And the other fun thing after this trip was we found out what everyone's house was. And actually, now that I know, it's like, oh, that's not a surprise. But just, you're going to think this is funny if you know us from our videos. I am a Ravenclaw. Isabella is a Ravenclaw. Natalie is a Hufflepuff. Probably makes sense. And then my husband had never taken this quiz, so we made him take the quiz the first day. And he is a Ravenclaw. So poor Natalie is in this house with 3 Ravenclaws. And this is why our house dynamics are what they are, because we've got a Hufflepuff and 3 Ravenclaws. So that was fun because I was like, this actually works for us. But anyhow, I knew what the girls were before we left, so they had like their little Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff robes, and they had shirts and the whole 9 yards. So then we just got the wands when we got there, so they were the interactive ones, and that worked out perfectly. So I'll link all that down below in case you are planning a trip and want to find those things to bring with you down there. So we got those. They did get the headbands, and I believe Natalie got one of the ties. We got those in the gift shop at our resort. So we did add those on as well. But I would say here is my real big takeaway. So Universal is a really fun place, and especially if you're a thrill seeker, that's a completely different review. So before I had kids, before I was married, I used to love Islands of Adventure. Islands of Adventure was like my park. That was back in the days where there was dueling dragons and they would like twist around each other. This ride is gone now, by the way. But like, it was my park because I'm an upside down, fast as it can go ride type of person. But now, being a wife and a mother and being with a family full of people that do not enjoy that type of ride or don't fit the ride requirements because they're not tall enough, that's just not what we do on these trips. It's not our focus. It will probably never be our focus, to be honest, because Dan and Isabella don't like those types of rides. Natalie will ride them with me, but I don't know when she's ever going to be tall enough, to be honest with you. So it's just not our focus. So as a wife and a mother, and now in our current situation, these interactive things and kind of the more, I'd say, mid-level thrill rides are really where our forte is. And then the really interactiveness of like being able to walk through Hogsmeade, it's amazing, right? So this is a must-see if you're Harry Potter fans. The girls loved it. From the rides that we did, the girls rode all the Harry Potter rides. So they rode the Harry Potter and Forbidden Journey and the Hogwarts Castle back in the back. Natalie loved it. Isabella said one and done. There was Flight of the Hippogriff, which is very Barnstormer-esque. It's outside and just a nice kind of easy rolling coaster. Both girls loved that. There was Gringotts, which actually was a lot tamer than I thought it was going to be. We waited in line for a little bit for that one. And it was tamer than I thought it was going to be, which was fine. A lot of 3D interactive screens. None of us had any problem with any disorientation or like dizziness from the 3D screens. It was really, really great. Definitely would ride that again. And then kind of what I feel like the best ride on property, especially that we rode, was the Hagrid's motorbike adventure. So we got so lucky with this ride. So the day that we went in early on the early resort hours, I'll try to put this video down below so you can see it. I would really consider this like our best day. We went in early, we got a ton done before 10 o'clock, but when we got in early, the Hagrid's ride was still like 120 minutes for a wait. And we were like, we're just not gonna wait that long. So we decided we would come back early the next day and try to get as many things done as possible. So it ended up raining in the middle of the day, and a lot of people left at that point. We went back and took a little break, but when it was kind of clearing up, we went back to the park. Hagrid's was shut down for weather, but we kind of knew that it was going to be coming back up soon. So my husband just kind of chilled in the waiting area for the line to go back up. I ran to go get some butterbeers because I thought, okay, we're going to be in line for about an hour. I literally just got in the butterbeers, and he calls me in a panic. He's like, the line is moving and we're almost to the front. You need to get up here. I'm like, what? And so the line had started moving. They were almost to where the entrance to go into like the ride area. I don't know how to explain this if you haven't, but there's an area where you put your bags on all the Universal resorts. They have lockers. You have to put your things in lockers for these rides. And so he was basically at that area where the lockers were. And you know, once you're getting to the lockers, you're getting ready to kind of go down inside to where the ride queue is, and it's much harder to meet up with people. We typically always stay in line with people, but because the ride was closed and then all of a sudden just came back up, I was like frantically trying to like grab full butterbeers and get us back to our people, right? That was the one thing I will say, and we definitely eased into culture and did when in Rome. I would definitely say the line rules, as far as the accepted customs at Universal, definitely seem to be different than what I see at Disney. There was a lot of line cutting, just straight up like line cutting, like at Gringotts. We had so many people just come into line in front of us, like clearly not with anyone else. They were just getting in line. Like we had been in line for 40 minutes and there's this people like just hopping the rails and getting in line. Definitely not something I see at Disney a lot, but saw that a lot at Universal. And then you did see a lot of a dad waiting and then the mom and the kids come back later. So by the third day I was like, when in Rome, we're gonna go get some butterbeers. I'll meet up with you later. So that's not typically something we do at Disney, but I thought that was an interesting, very visible and noticeable difference from the culture at Universal to what was commonly accepted for us at Disney. Disney typically, like you get in the line, you're in the line, and then you're just in the line. People were just out and into these lines like constantly. That's just how it was. So anyhow, that was an interesting difference. But we happened to get on it with a very little line wait because we were waiting for it to come back open, came back open. We were right there ready to get in the line. I don't even think we waited 30 minutes. Honestly, it was like super short, great strategy. If it rains in the middle of the day, definitely recommend this. Best ride of the trip. That ride is amazing. So my husband and I both have motorcycles license, so we love motorcycles anyway, but it is a really fun trip. So he and I were both on the motorbikes. Natalie was in my sidecar. Isabella was in his sidecar. It's just a really fun ride. You can just hear the kids are like, ee! So it was just a really fun ride. But overall, my general impression of Universal now, in our current state with kids and all of this, not thrill seekers, but they're mainly for the Harry Potter, is it's really, really fun. And I think we will do it again, yes. I have had someone ask me the question, now that you've been to Universal, what do you like better? Do you like Disney or do you like Universal? Here is my answer to that question. So I don't think it's a matter of what do you like better, because I feel like both trips serve a different purpose. If you've been to one or the other, you should probably understand what this answer means. If you've not been to either of them, this may be a little bit hard to conceptualize. But Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida, or Lake Buena Vista, Florida, is it's huge, it's massive, it's like its own city. In fact, up until recently, it was its own city. We won't get into that today, but it is like its own little working city. It has its own emergency services, it has its own security, it has its own roads in and out. It is miles and miles and miles of expansiveness that you literally have to use some sort of Disney transportation or your own car to get around. You are not walking from Animal Kingdom Lodge to Epcot. That is not possible. It's a huge, huge property. And a lot of times when I get the questions of like, oh, I can't believe you're going back again, I think it's probably because people don't understand how huge this place is. It's massive. It's bigger than a lot of the small cities in Illinois. It just is. It's huge. So there's so much to do there. You can stay at so many different places. Literally every single trip can feel different. Now, you can do that a little bit at Universal because they have a number of different resorts. I think there's 8 or 10. And so you could stay at different resorts, like I think we'll plan to do on the next time we go. We'll stay at a different resort. The trip will feel a little bit different. But it's a much tighter, constrained property, quite frankly. It's landlocked on every single side. So you've got the iDrive interstate on one side, you've got Sand Lake, all kinds of houses and high school and everything on another side. It's just completely landlocked on every single side. There's nowhere for it to go. So everything feels very, very close together at Universal. From our resort to the bus to go to the one entrance for all the parks, for everything. I mean, when you're getting on a bus at Universal, and this is something I didn't even realize because it's been so long since I've been there, and last time we just drove our car, I think. You get on the bus at your resort and you just go to CityWalk. That's it. There's no other options there. Like, you go to CityWalk, the entrance to both theme parks are there, and that's it. Everything is that one route. Like, there's no choosing which bus to get on. That's it. So that was actually kind of a very interesting change that took me a day or two to get used to, because I'm used to going down to the bus depot and being like, okay, Disney Springs, what time's my bus going to be here? And then I see the Magic Kingdom bus come, and no, that's not the one I want. And the Epcot bus comes, and no, that's not the one. And you have to figure out which bus you need to be on. So I was like stressed the first day we went down to get on the bus. And I was like, is this the right bus? Are we sure we're going to have the right bus? And I asked the bus driver, and she's like, this goes to everything. So I was like, oh, well, that makes it easy. So it is a much easier trip to get around transportation-wise because you're literally just going to one spot. So that was the other thing that I like and don't like at the same time. So when you take the bus from your resort to CityWalk, they have this real big parking structure where if you bring your own car, you're parking there too. The bus is dropping you there. Go up the escalators, through security, down the escalator, like walking escalators, to the entrance of CityWalk. And then you have to make the decision to go left to Islands of Adventure or right to Universal Studios Orlando. Obviously, if you're doing the Harry Potter and you've got the 2 parks one day, you can go on either side and you can take the train and go back and forth. Loved the train, actually. Forgot to mention that when I was talking rides, because it is a ride. The train was fantastic. The kids would have just sat on the train the whole day and just rode it back and forth. My husband was not up for that, but the kids would have just sat on the train the whole day. I would have been fine with it too. I just think it was super fun. It's just kind of nice to feel immersed, and it's nice and relaxing. But that's it. Like, you just go to CityWalk, you choose right, you choose left, and that's it. Like, there's very minimal choices there. So while I liked it for the ease, I didn't like having to go in through CityWalk every single time, because like, this is their public area that would be akin to like Disney Springs. So imagine having to go to Disney Springs every time you wanted to go to Magic Kingdom, and I like having my theme park separate, I guess, or I'm just so used to that for whatever reason, I didn't love it. It wouldn't like persuade me to not go again. It just would not be my preference. We'll put it that way. But if we stay at one of the other resorts that's an express pass resort that we'll probably stay if we go again, they have like boats and stuff that you can take over, and those do go right up close to where the theme park entrances are. So that would be a way around it to where you don't have to walk. And CityWalk is not that big. It's 2 levels. It's kind of like an indoor-outdoor mall shopping dining thing. But it's not that long, so it's not like it was, in the way to have to walk all. It's not as long as Disney Springs either. It's probably like, I'm trying to think, from World of Disney to maybe the toy store at Disney Springs. So it's not that long, but it's just the idea of like having to go through it whether you want to or not. Anyhow, very minimal detail, and it's fine. I just thought I would share. If you're a mainly Disney person, that might be your impression as well. Or you might not care one way or the other. We did try Voodoo Donuts. I had a couple people ask me, did you try Voodoo Donuts? We tried it at the end. So, vlogging was a little bit of, it was a little bit tough on this trip, to be honest, because it's a lot easier when I'm at Disney. I know my way around. I'm not even really having to pay attention to what I'm doing. And so I'm trying to help get everyone to where they're trying to be. And they're all asking me questions like, I know where I'm at. I don't have a clue where I'm at, right? So it was a little bit tougher on the Universal trip, to be honest. It will probably be easier on a future trip because I tried to vlog on my camera and like I've got people asking me questions. I'm like, I don't know where anything is, so don't ask me anything. But yeah, so there's probably noticeable gaps in the vlog. That's just what happens when you're family vlogging and you have family to deal with while you're around. Oh. So we talked a little bit about kind of the theme parks. The resorts were nice. I think they have a lot of comparable resorts. There's just a lot more resorts at Walt Disney World. There's a lot more options. The food. Let's talk about the food. So food-wise, I did have a few people ask for a food recap, and I would say the main thing is just go into it knowing you're not going to have as many different options as you would have someplace like Disney. It's a much smaller footprint, so there's fewer food options too. We tried a couple of the restaurants in CityWalk. They were good, with the exception of one which was really, really good, and I will tell you about that one. I would go out of my way to book a reservation there in the future. And as far as the food inside the theme parks, you know, the themed area food in the Wizarding World area, like the butterbeers and the stuff inside Honeydukes and things like that, it was really kind of nice and on point with the theme. We had the breakfast the 2 different days, one at Leaky Cauldron and one at the Three Broomsticks. That it was good. It wasn't different from one place to the next, but it was good just for the different ambiance. Love the pumpkin juice. And the pre-tickets that you buy, by the way, they don't do anything really special, I don't think, other than just to prepay. I thought I was kind of like making a dining reservation because I'm coming from this Disney World, right? And so I thought I was making a dining reservation when I reserved these, but apparently it's just a prepay because we were just in line with everyone else and just had paid ahead apparently for these breakfasts at Three Broomsticks and Leaky Cauldrons. But then we did try a couple different reservations places. We went to Margaritaville, which was good. Those are kind of all over, and that's kind of standard, you know, I don't know, resort food. We did try the Toothsome Chocolate Factory. That place was amazing. I would go out of my way to make a reservation there in the future. I went there mainly for the desserts. I thought, oh, we'll go get the kids a fun dessert, some fun pictures. But actually, the food overall there was probably the best food we ate the whole trip. It was amazing. We got this really great bruschetta appetizer. I think I got a flatbread. Everything that everyone got was really, really good. And then the desserts were really big and really fun. You can split all the desserts. We ordered like individual desserts and it was way too much. So the desserts were huge and really, really good. We did also try Big Fire American. That one was so-so for us. It may have just been because we didn't order correctly, but we did get the s'mores like kind of family dessert thing where you have the fire in the middle. Other than the fire making me a little bit nervous, we had fun with that, and that was an interesting time. But the food was so-so. I don't know if I'd go out of my way to make a reservation there. But the Toothsome Chocolate Factory, that place was amazing. Not just for the desserts, but the food overall that we ordered was fantastic. We'd definitely eat there again. So we had a great trip. Do I think we'll go back to Universal? Yes, I do think that we will at some point. I don't know that it'll be our next trip because we do have the Disney Wish booked, and I want to take the kids to Disney World for Halloween because they just announced that Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party is back. So Disney is just much more our speed. We are a Disney family. We are just more aligned with Disney rides. I like having more options, so Walt Disney World affords that because it's so huge. So we really are just kind of a Disney family. But this Universal trip was great. It was very timely because the kids are into Harry Potter. And I want to do it one more time, I think, to try that Express Pass resort, one of the Express Pass resorts, and then also take the kids to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter one more time while they're still in this Harry Potter phase. Because it's really neat to be totally immersed in something that you love, right? So hopefully that helps. Let me know if you have any more questions down below. I will be sharing that, any more thoughts that I have, but that's pretty much it, a wrap up. And then coming up, I've redone both the kids' rooms. We've redone their space upstairs into like a tween hangout. So I will be sharing all of that coming up, and I kind of need to get caught up with vlogs, to be honest, because it's so far past when we had all these travels. We did go on 2 other trips that I just didn't vlog because I knew I was so far behind at this point. We went to, well, it's kind of one trip all in one, but we went to a trip to Minnesota, and actually on the way to Minnesota, we got a mini trip in Washington, D.C. because of a flight delay, and we ended up being there longer than we thought we were going to be. And so we got to go see some things in Washington, D.C. So that was really fun. So I think we may go back soon, but there's no vlogs from any of that. If you want to check it out, go to my Instagram. We did do some reels, but they were just kind of some quick, fun, shorter trips. But I will be back, hopefully, with more regular vlogs now that we got through all of these kind of travel things before we get into our summer travel series. Check out the links down below if you want to know where we got anything. And I will see you in some upcoming vlogs that will hopefully be more real time here very shortly. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.